to Mansfield Park for Borders Rugby Special, where Hawick take on Kelso for the Border League final. Hawick are going for their 50th title win, where Kelso are going for the first win since 1987. Before we go to Dale Clancy in the commentary box, let's speak to the coaches.
So Neil, a win here tonight would mean a first Border League title for Kelso since 1987. One of the great Kelso dynasties back then, of course, JJ, Alan Tate, Gary Callender, etc. What would it mean to emulate club legends like that here tonight?
Yeah, we spoke about it. It would be it's an opportunity to make our own history. Kelso's not really had many 15s trophies of late, and it'd be one to put in the trophy cabinet after what's been a decent season. So it's all to play for, and we're looking forward to it.
And Hawick are obviously in a division above Kelso, but you guys have you've beat Gala, you've beat Melrose, you've beat Selkirk this season. So potentially there's not as much between the teams as maybe league positions would suggest.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, Hawick are ranked third in Scotland, if you like, and we're sitting around 5th or 6th in National 1. So there is a gap, but maybe not as much as previous years. And I think now, with the kind of season we're having, we feel we can, on a one-off, we can maybe match them on the night.
Gary, this season went reasonably close in the league, possibly better than many predicted. Would silverware tonight be sort of justifiable reward for what the boys have put in this season?
Aye, definitely, and just what you were saying there, I was speaking to Matty just at the start of the week, and I think at the start of the season we discussed if we can stay up this season it would be a brilliant, just with the young players that we had in the squad. But no, I think we've definitely punched above our weight, and it's been a great season. First time we've got to playoff stage with the new league structure, so really good. But no, I think tonight that would put the icing on the cake. The Border League means a lot to us as a club, and tonight we make it 50 wins, which is that would be a massive achievement if we can do it. So we respect Kelso. We know they're going well. They've got some good players. It doesn't help that my brother-in-law coaches them as well, so that puts added pressure. But no, it's good, and hopefully tonight makes for a good game. So both squads look pretty good, so fingers crossed it all goes well.
Yeah. And you mentioned it there, I was going to say, if you do emerge victorious tonight, it'll be the 50th Border League title for this famous old club, which should be a great achievement.
Definitely. And I mean, it goes to say it's the oldest league in the world in terms of rugby, so, and it is important. I think we just need to get back to that, clubs getting back into the position. I know we do have like a sort of backlogged calendar for rugby fixtures and thing, but it'd be great to get back and get some sort of structure so that we can get this league back to the way it was. But no, like you say, massive achievement for us if we can get that victory tonight.
We had a team meeting at the start, and a lot of the players that have been at the club for a few years were saying, lately we've not been beating border clubs, we've been losing to border clubs, and kind of losing a bit of respect. And we just felt that one of the goals to go after was to be successful in our own patch, around ourselves, around the border clubs. And as you've already mentioned, we've done pretty well against the border teams this season, and that was a huge goal of ours, was to start mixing it, with the border clubs, and we knew National 1 Forum from that would take care of itself.
And so, Hawick, one-off game, cup final, Mansfield Park. How do you get the better of them tonight? Yeah,
it's a huge challenge. I mean, Hawick haven't lost a game here all season. That's just how big it is. They've got some real experience up front, some big hitters. And we're coming in, we've got a few boys off and etc. But there's no excuses. A cup final's a cup final, and every guy that puts the Kelso jersey on is out there to give their all. How do we do it? Well, we'll just have to wait and see.
Kelso, obviously in a division below Hawick, but they've beaten Selkirk, they've beaten Gala, they've beaten Melrose this season. What are the main threats that they pose?
Well, I think we know them all well. It's Bruce McNeil, one of our players, or one of our captains. It's been at the club for years. Bruce poses a massive threat, and like you say there, it's another border club. It's a local derby. It's a Border League final. Forum goes out the window in any of these sort of games. But no, they're good. They've got good structure. They've got good shape. They've got some good young players in the backs, and I think it'll be a good game.
And on a personal level, last game tonight as Hawick Director of Rugby, I believe. A win would obviously bring down the curtain very nicely on what has been a very good tenure.
Absolutely. I mean, I've loved my time as Director of Rugby. If I could have it, I would keep going. But just unfortunately, just with work commitments, family, it's just I need to let somebody else come in, some fresh ideas. But I'll be devastated if we didn't win tonight. But not taking anything away from Kelso. But if we can win tonight, that would top it off nicely. It would be a nice little fairy tale to the end of the Director of Rugby ship.
Hello and welcome to some midweek rugby here on Borders Rugby TV, as we're going to contest the Border League final, and Kelso just running onto the field now. They've got a few injuries to worry about, especially in the forwards. Ryan Toogood, Billy McNeil and Archie Cowans are not in the squad this evening, but they do have the likes of Keith Melbourne, the big towering second row, will be a player that Hawick will have to try and keep quiet. And also they welcome back Ross Coombe onto the wing for Hawick. They've had a little reshuffle from the team, which was defeated by Mar in the Premiership semi-final. Callum Rennick and Sean Fairbairn drop out. Matty Carrier returns to the front row to captain the side, and Sam Frizzle also partners Rory Smith in the second row. The back division, relatively similar to what they've played all season, with try scorers like Morgan Tate and Ronan McKean in the backs. The play is about to get underway. It's Hawick who are searching for their 50th title in the Border League, and Kelso, they're searching for their 6th. So it's going to be an interesting battle, and you would imagine that Hawick would start this slim favourites with the home advantage after the coin toss, but play is underway. It's been plucked out the air by Rory Smith, and he settles play just on the 5 metre line. Played away by Welsh, but it's gone loose on the floor, and Frankie Robson's done well to sweep that ball up. Now Andy Tate digging about for the ball, trying to get Kelso on top in the early exchanges. He's found Murray Hastie, who's found some field and some open space.
Great nudge from Murray Hastie, getting a bit of field position for Kelso, and a good turnover after they conceded the kick-off. But yeah, this one's going to be interesting. Hawick, as you say, should be favourites, but Kelso have got a big lot of heart in there after their game against Melrose a couple of weeks ago under strength, and they gave them a bit of a fright. So this is going to be an interesting one.
Likes of Bruce McNeil digging about in there, who's returning to a very familiar surroundings after spending a lot of his most fruitful years in rugby at Mansfield Park. But Hawick do win the penalty. An infringement there. Michael Todd just signalling that Kelso have infringed, and it's going to be a chance for Hawick to get some territory and kick downfield. And you know, they've got a relatively settled back division with the likes of Ford, who's been playing really, really well at 10, Andrew Mitchell as well. Where do you think the key battles are going to be this afternoon?
I think centre is absolutely spot on there. The Kelso centres, Frankie Robson and Dwayne Patterson. There's a bit of class and there's a bit of experience there. Same for Hawick with Glenn Welsh and Andrew Mitchell, but I don't think anything's going to happen unless these forward packs can produce ball, and you'd like to think that Hawick seem to be favourites up there. Bruce McNeil picking up for Kelso with the Hawick overthrow. I think if Hawick can get ball, they should dominate this, but this Kelso backline could be pretty dangerous. Ross Coombe chasing this kick.
Bailey Donaldson fielding the kick there, but play is going to be brought back as Michael Todd, the match official, in the middle, just signalling that there's been an offside. So it's going to be a penalty to Kelso. They're going to be able to get the chance to kick downfield, and Murray Hastie, after a spell at Moneyfield Wanderers a few seasons back.
He was well coached there, Dale. He was really well coached.
Did you have a good assistant coach?
Yeah, I had a couple. But I tell you what, that's 2.5 minutes gone, and there's been some pretty dull penalties given away so far. The coaches will be tearing their hair out for that bit of discipline, because Kelso had field position, conceded with a penalty. Hawick got Kelso in decent position, under no pressure, and then a really cheap penalty by offside. So need to settle this down a little bit and keep some pause on the ball and just grind out a bit of possession. Great take at the front of the line by Big Melbourne there for Kelso.
The ball set for Kelso, and it's been well guided there, as you can see. At the back of that is Euan Knox, who spent a lot of time here. Now Bruce McNeil, he's escaped the clutches of the Hawick defence as it scrambles back to try and contain him. And now Andy Tate on the 22, he finds Frame, and Frame looks to just pounce himself into the Hawick defence as Michael Todd is bellowing orders at the Hawick Jackal, and Big Melbourne again offering himself up for a carry, but he's been well wrapped up there by Ross Graham, who is a class act. Now Murray Hastie, he's found Robson on the short line and just gone in between the Hawick defence, and it seems relatively porous so far as Dryden now looks to try and have his little shot at trying to breach this defence. Now Frame, the experienced Frame at the back, he's relatively green in terms of his rugby upkeeping. He was entered the game in his mid-20s. And now Melbourne yet again, and Tate finds Hastie. Hastie has got Bruce McNeil, and how much he would love a try here, especially on such an occasion in this Border League final. It is a moment for history for both of these teams. Andy Tate, the captain, leading his team onto the field. The scrum half there digging about on the ball. Again, he's found frame. Must be about his 4th carry in this sequence of phases.
This is really good control for Kelso, but it's all just one off the ruck, so it's reasonably easy for Hawick to defend. They could do a little tip on here or something just to shift the target a little bit.
Set up again on the 5 metre line. Andy Tate, he's looking for another runner. Melbourne there in support, and Angus Common as well, taking the ball forward, trying to move it out, not getting further than the first defender. Now Hasty's got Dwayne Patterson out the back, looks to try and fish that ball over the far side, and Wilson tried to grab it and just knocked it on. He just had Morgan Tate for a bit of company, and if he could have grabbed that ball, that was an opening there, Bruce.
That was tough though, because they didn't have good go forward ball. They were moving that off a pretty slow ball, so Hawick were reasonable numbers up but able to drift and just put that pass under pressure. I would like to have seen a bit of change of direction in the middle of the field there to try and challenge those sort of 3 and 4 defenders for Hawick.
Kelso have been made to work relatively hard to get to the final. They had to defeat Melrose in a National 1 and Border League double-header. It was 18 points to 13 all the way back in November. And then a win away from home against Selkirk at Philiphaugh in a Dreek night in March. So they've won both their games in the pool. Hawick, they heavy winners over Jed, but Gala and Peebles withdrew from that pool due to injuries and other commitments. So Hawick have perhaps had an easier path to the final.
They've had a hell of a season though, especially here at Mansfield, Dale, and it's going to be really tough for Kelso to keep up this level of intensity. They've done really well to start with, but as you said, Frames had to carry a few on his own. I'm not sure he's got that in him for a full 80, so the bench will need to come into play there. But I'd like to see this back line. You saw Frankie Robson make a half break. I'd like to see him get his paws on the ball a little bit more and just lighten the load a wee bit on this forward pack.
You alluded there that it's not going to be easy for Kelso. Hawick currently unbeaten at home in the Premiership all season. Nobody was able to get a win here on home turf for Hawick, so it's going to be difficult to try and buck that trend for Kelso. But it's a final and anything can go. The nudge coming on from the scrum there.
Yeah, Kelso under a bit of pressure already up front, and you can see they're going to want to keep away for set piece as much as possible, which means they've got to be really accurate when they're on ball.
The ball has been well secured there by Hawick. You can see Ross Graham just loitering at the back. Takes the ball forward with a powerful leg drive. Takes a few Kelso bodies along with him as Welsh goes in. Then the ball spilled out, and it was a blitz there from Patterson as he came out his line to put a bit of pressure on the other Welsh. It was Glenn Welsh in at the inside centre, but the referee is going to bring that for a penalty at the scrum. Andy Tate rolls the ball into the scrum. It's relatively secure there, but the nudge does come on from Hawick and has been scooped up at the back by McNeil. He does find Hasty, and now it's up to Robson to trudge it on. He gets the offload to Patterson, who finds Wilson. Wilson's got Combe in support. He doesn't need him on this occasion. The offload back inside, and Ross Coombe manages to get into the Hawick 22, but the play comes to a stop, and Hasty now trying to find McNeil. He's barged over the first runner, and the cavalry does arrive to secure this ball.
Great bit of execution there. Frankie Robson tidies up, hellish ball, gets it away. What a pass for Dwayne Patterson to get the ball wide, and then great bit of support by Kumi in that wide channel. And Kelso have now got a chance to build some pressure, and they've really got to come away with points here.
Tate just digging in about there. The penalty does go Hawick's way.
Yeah, the referees just gave a penalty to Hawick there for Kelso coming straight off their feet, so they've noticed that the ball carrier was isolated there, and the supporting player just came straight off his feet and sealed the ball off, so Hawick couldn't contest that.
That's one of those ones where it could go for you, it could go against you. They get the offload, and it just means that next ball carrier becomes isolated. He thought he was going in to clear that breakdown. He ends up being the carrier, and then because it's a decent leg shot, it gives Hawick a chance to get over ball, and that's a killer for Kelso. But now they've got to defend this line out. They've had all the field position. If they can get another turnover here, they've got to come away with points in this first half and get Hawick chasing the game. Matty
Carrier, yet again, inside his own half to throw in to the line out. The third occasion he's had to do that. They've not really had much territory there, and the line out again doesn't go to script, but it does come back on a Hawick side as it was juggled about in the air by Smith. Now Carrier round the corner with his first real impact in terms of hands on ball in this game. Now Welsh finds Muir, another player who likes to trudge it up. Knows his way at the try line as well. Sean Muir, he's got 7 tries in the Premiership campaign, which obviously has culminated in a semi-final defeat for Hawick.
Here's a great chance for Kelso to counter.
Inner link in the backfield there as Wilson manages to find Angus Roberts. Players do arrive to secure that ball, and again Kelso have their hands on ball, and the counter comes through there from Ross Graham.
I think Andy Tate can feel pretty hard done by there. He looked like he was under protection, and then in they come for the side, and referee's gone with Hawick, and that's a real let off for Hawick, and now they're able to get some brilliant field position. This one should be nudged down inside the 22.
As Matty Carrier yet again is going to throw in an attacking line out, and again the line out not going to plan, but Rudy McLeod's done well to sweep that up just about a couple of metres shy of the Kelso line. Now Sean Muir try to take a few Kelso bodies with him, but he's been met with some stern resistance, and now Graham gets round, and the Hawick players start to flood the blind side, but Welsh has been kneecapped round about the breakdown, and I think Kelso might have his back on their side. A little knock on there, and that's not clinical from Hawick. There's a big front row for Hawick, reinstating Matty Carrier to the starting lineup, the captain, which sees Ross Graham go back to the back row, and the nudge does come on from Hawick, but it's been swept up yet again by Bruce McNeil, and he sprints his way away from the scrum.
Tell you what, Bruce McNeil is absolutely class at that. There's not many better in the club game, and look at that for a nudge from Murray Hastie. That is a great bit of rugby for Kelso.
Bruce McNeil, any scrum, whether it's going forward or going back, he always seems to be able to get that ball away from the number 8 position and make some sort of ground as well, running towards the scrum half and towards the 10 channel. But Kelso are backing and attacking a good attacking territory here in the Hawick half.
Hawick line-out has been really dodgy so far. They look pretty unclear. There's a lot of hesitancy in what's going on. I think they need to just simplify this. There's a fair bit of movement there. They've looked pretty happy going to the tail because Kelso are not able to compete there.
Sutherland off the back along with Graham as well, looking to try and puncture Kelso a little bit further out. A good carry there from Welsh, but he's offloaded and it's just fallen straight into Cessford's hands, and now it's go time for Kelso, but Melbourne's just knocked on. Matty Carrier does find his target. It's Stuart Graham at the back of that maul. Look to try and get a cohesive maul going, but it's been very, very well defended by Melbourne in there. He managed to wrap up the ball, and as the maul came down,
I think that's one of those ones that could have gone either way. He could have been pinged there for pulling down a maul, but he goes for it, he gambles, and he gets the rewards. Kelso now got to get this ball away. It looks like we're going to make this prop change pretty quickly.
Colin Arthur's been playing a lot of Premiership rugby for Musselburgh this season, and obviously ex-Biggar and Melrose as well, and he'll come with a lot of experience. As the scrum itself has been coming under a lot of pressure, they'll be hoping he can shore up that front row.
I think Framey's done really well. He's
carried a lot,
put a lot into the first 20 minutes. While the scrum was under pressure, it certainly didn't buckle, and he's given everything, and he'd love having this chance to play in a Border League final against Hawick, and he might have to get himself back on the pitch towards the end of the game, so it'll be interesting to see what impact Colin Arthur can make in this scrum.
The scrum has got a little nudge on yet again from Hawick, but it's just been tipped on to Robson, and Robson setting up the platform there for Kelso to try and exit, but Bruce McNeil has got his mitts on the ball now.
I think if
forward.
Kelso can get Frankie Robson and Bruce McNeil on the ball as often as possible, they're going to go alright.
Andy Tate spills the ball over to that far side. It's just drifted forward. Pop into the scrum there, Welsh. And it's again on a very, very secure platform for Hawick as they go forward, and now sniping down the blind side. A little chip comes in there, but it's been well charged down. And the referee, Michael Todd, is going to bring that back for a penalty to Hawick. Kirkford to try and get the first points on the board in this Border League final. 22 minutes gone. It's still Hawick 0, Kelso 0.
He's done really well this year, top point scorer in the league.
And it's a good kick. It's very, very good from Kirkford. He gets the first points of this evening. It's Hawick 3, Kelso 0. As Hawick set the exit platform up now. It's came off the boot of Gareth Welsh, and it's a good kick chase there. Roberts underneath that does a great job fielding the ball.
That's a great bit of work for the winger. Really, really strong. That was a decent ball for Welshie. Good pressure, but Kelso back with the ball inside Hawick's half. And I think that's a decent penalty. I'd like to see Kelso up the tempo. You can see Bruce McNeil maybe fancying a little crack here, but Murray Hastie's going to use this left boot. Oh, Dwayne Parsons come across for chat. I think he fancies a bang at this. He won the Kelso Kicking Cup a couple of weeks ago, just the week before their dinner.
Dwayne Patterson, we've seen it before as he sneaks another half yard behind Michael Todd there. Good connection, has got very, very good height. The ARs have got a keen eye on that as well, and it splits the Kinlan. It's Hawick 3, Kelso 3.
That also tells Hawick that they've got to behave themselves, because if he's got his radar on, then that's going to be pretty useful to try and get them points.
Bruce McNeil again just trucking the ball up from his own 22.
Smart though, he stays inside the 22, which gives Tatey a chance to stick out if he wants to. He's hit that like a pund of mince, but here's a chance.
Kirk Ford at the fullback there, who's slotting back. He's tried to dance and weave his way out of trouble. He's been held up there, but the cavalry does arrive again, and there's no bigger cavalry than Sean Muir, and he makes some good yards off the ruck there. Now Smith just runs into Arthur, and the Kelso players bundle on that ball but lose their footing as well. Again, and now back in the pocket. That's
the breakdown. It's making it too easy.
And Bruce McNeil in backfield, fielding the ball, looking for some support with Ross Coombe. Again, a player who's had a bit of time here at Mansfield Park. As Andy Tate just slows proceedings down. And Rooney McLeod was straight out there, and the players bundle in. Kevin Dryden first in there, and gives Rooney McLeod a little nudge for his worries. On the 22, it's an attacking platform now for Hawick, and off the top they find Welsh. Welsh has got Ford, and Graham on the charge now, in between three Kelso players, and he's been wrapped up well. And now they bring the next big runner through as Sean Muir offers himself up for a carry. And now Matty Carrier doesn't make as many yards as his compatriots just did, but sets up a really good platform, and now it's open there for Hawick to try and strike from. They look to try and release Mitchell, but again he's been marshalled well by this Kelso defence. Muir, industrious as ever, popping off the floor, ready for another carry. And now Graham, a try scorer in the Premiership semi-final against Mark. Welsh has got Carrier, the captain looking to try and get over the whitewash, and he's been held up short yet again, a couple of metres shy of that Kelso line. Hawick try to use every inch of this pitch as they flood the blind side, and they pick and go right. Slow play down slightly, and Welsh is orchestrating proceedings behind that ruck. Now to try and get up the ante here. There's Graham again with his hands on ball, and they get over the line. Hawick have managed to breach the defence, and it is Stuart Graham who's managed to get over for the first try in the Border League final. And that was the first time we've seen real intensity from Hawick. They were attacking with purpose and moving this Kelso defence around.
Every time they carried, they got gain line. They got their big lumps on the ball, took in 2 or 3 Kelso defenders. As they then came towards this stand side, they'd taken a lot out of Kelso and saying to them, right, 3 metres away from the line, you're going to have to stop us trucking. And Biscuit is some boy. He is strong as an ox.
Ford to try and add the extras on the 22. Got a bit of pressure from Mark Wilson, but it didn't matter a jot. He gets the extras. 10 points to 3, Hawick lead. Now a throw into the line out for Euan Knox, who spent most of his youth rugby in Hawick colours. Finds Dryden at the tail. Now McNeil. He's got Roberts, who's just blistering off his wing, but he's just been wrapped up there by a Graham sandwich. And now McNeil looking to try and just go direct through the ruck, and Matty Carrier's over this one on the floor. Andy Tate sniping at the back, finds Melbourne, and they've got the advantage. A free ball here for Kelso. Find Wilson. Wilson's just darting back in field into that 22. And now Ross Coombe looking to try and go down the blind side. There's not much avenue to attack down there. Now Melbourne He tries to skip past Carrier, but he's been met well there, but managed to roll out of trouble as Graham looked to try and pin his man down. And he's going to come back for that penalty, and this is going to be an interesting call. Still a lot of rugby left to be played.
Quite a lot of these penalties are needless and silly, but the one that Hawick just gave away, it was actually Ross Graham that gave it away to give Dwayne Patterson a shot at the posts here, was completely mindless. He was lying at the wrong side of the rack, and as Andy Tate's picked the ball up, running around, he's just stuck a foot out and tripped him up. It was Hawick had that covered. There's no need for that at all.
It's up to Patterson to punish the mindless penalties right in front of the sticks, and it's successful again. 100% for the young outside centre. 10 points to 6. That's a quick scrum coming in there from Hawick, but it has again been well swept up by McNeil, and he charges yet again from the scrum. For his age, he's still one of the quickest to get away from the breakdown and from the scrum. He's very quick across that first 5-10 yards, but the box kick from Tate has found McKean. Now a chance for the game to open up. He's found Donaldson. Donaldson's got Welsh. Welsh has got Mitchell outside him. Now he's galloping up towards that 22. Can he go back in field? We've seen it many a time, just getting behind that gain line and either laying tries on for teammates or taking them himself. And Sean Muir coming at a cute angle, but he's knocked the ball on, and now Tate has got Robson. Is it now a chance for Kelso to attack from deep, but they found some space in the open field. Kirkford, pedestrian-like, getting back to that bouncing ball. Notices a good attacking opportunity there, but Ronan McKean just fumbles the ball in front of the stand, and that's been met with a loud applause from the Kelso spectators. Hawick now finds Smith. Smith sets up the platform, and Ford finds Welsh. Welsh has got McKean over in some open field, and this is going to be really difficult for Kelso to try and defend. He bounces back in field, but he's been met with Dryden. Dryden done well to cover that there, and Bruce McNeil over that ball does brilliantly.
Oh, it's Andy Tate.
Is it Andy Tate over there? Andy Tate over that ball.
Kicking off a poor ball. Why panic there? There's no panic. They've just thrown the ball right back to Hawick.
Now Morgan Tate takes play up towards the 22.
Morgan Tate did what I would have done if I was running towards Melbourne and just fallen over in front of him.
Now in the hands of the Hawick Carriers as they look to try and make amends for a couple of errors in the red zone. It's Graham making some good yards yet again. It takes a couple of players to bring him down. Sutherland and Graham working well together in the back row. Now Mitchell yet again tries to get that big fend on. Now gets the offload. Is he going to release Tate? Takes play closer towards that 5 metre line. And it looks like it's going to come back on a Kelso side. It's getting very messy over there, and the penalty goes to Kelso. And again, Kelso dig in. 10 points to 6 as we approach half time. Kelso not tasted success in the Border League since 1987.
That was a decent side. Some quality players in that 1987 team.
You think about the players that have came through the Kelso ranks. British and Irish Lions and internationalists for 6 titles shows you how competitive the Border League is. But that is going to be the final play of the first half, and it's been a relatively tetchy, error-strewn first half for both sides. There's been opportunities on the table, but a little bit of stage fright for both Kelso and Hawick. It was Hawick who opened the scoring with a penalty, which was replied by Dwayne Patterson, and then the try came from Stuart Graham on 29 minutes. And a further penalty from Dwayne Patterson means at half-time it's Hawick 10, Kelso 6, and it's still everything to play for here. As Kelso edge closer and closer to that Hawick line, and Bruce McNeil in there as well. The ball spilled across, and it's now in the hands of Kirkford. Now it's a foot race. The ball kicked downfield. It bundles over the halfway line, and Dwayne Patterson, it's going to be an early tester for his shoulder, but he's knocked on trying to retrieve the ball. And that was an opportunity to try and perhaps be a little bit more patient. The opportunity may have came. And again, a steady scrum coming in from Hawick as they look to try and perhaps manipulate the penalty. And the arm goes out from Michael Todd there. And it is going to be a penalty to Hawick.
Matty Landos must be loving this, but Welshie at the back of that isn't even shaping to go down and clear the ball out the back of that scrum. There was no intention for them to play from that, and this is really interesting because they decided to go for the 3 rather than the territory. So when you've got the straight arm penalty, why not have a crack and see if you can get yourself 5 or 7 rather than just taking the 3?
Again, a good connection from that right boot. It's been watched very keenly by Gordon Glashan and David Chang-Ling. The flags go up, and it's another penalty for Kirkford. A 7-point game now as Patterson gets us back underway. Melbourne up there has now got into the hands of Carrier, but he was offside as he collected that ball.
I thought that came back off of Melbourne's hand, actually. I kind of thought he patted that back there, but Michael Todd's he's in the middle there. He's the one with the final decision. But
Dwayne Patterson to add 3 points to the Kelso cause and perhaps increase his confidence as well after returning to the field from injury. Right-footed kick. And again, another sweet connection. He likes the look of it, and he was bobbing about on his foot there and just watching that with admiration go between the sticks. 13 points to 9, and we've got 32 minutes left. It's not been the cleanest of balls, and Andrew Mitchell doing an excellent job of making any sort of room there as Bailey Donaldson goes into the pocket and left-footed kick, turns his winger, and that is an excellent kick from the youngster, and something which we were crying out for in the first half, and that is a 50-22. It was a great kick from Donaldson, great game management from Hawick to get to that position, and notice the opportunity was there, and now Carrier feeds the tail of the line out down to Welsh. Welsh got Ford, and Ford's got Graham just barging his way through the defence. And Hawick now in behind the gain line. Ford finds Donaldson, Donaldson finds Tate, Tate just cannot gather it in time. And now Mark Wilson looks to try and break free, but the high tackle comes in there, and now Bruce McNeill wants to go the length. He's going from deep, and he's been met with some Hawick resistance there. And I think the referee is just going to signal that they perhaps want 10 there. And that was, again, the experience from Bruce McNeill coming in there, but an attacking opportunity. Good to see Hawick get it through the hands.
And if anybody else had done that, Bruce McNeill would have absolutely throttled them. You've got a penalty 5 yards to your own line. Calm yourself, dude. But he's just gained Dwayne another 10 metres for him to stick this ball down the line. You can just see this little bit of sort of overpowering coming in from Hawick now. They're not having to play that well, but they're still able to dominate and put Kelso under a lot of pressure. But then when it needs a little bit of finesse or a little bit of composure, that's where it's breaking down.
The throw into the line out, and Carrier, who's starting to really find his jumpers in the line out. They're going a little bit more as rehearsed, and it gets a little bit of a go forward here. The maul as Welsh barks some instruction to his Hawick pack, and it's made a good 15 metres here as it goes slowly forward. It's still underneath the mitts of Matty Carrier, and it yet goes forward towards that 22. It's been a while since I've seen a driving maul go this far, and it's now taken down. Melbourne trying to get some hands in there, but it's going to come back on a Hawick side. Kirkford, he's found McKean in some space, and very tight space it was, but McKean made the most of it. Now Sean Muir getting round the corner, and he takes a few Kelso bodies again. And now Andrew Mitchell looks to try and go tight, but knocks it on. The referee going to bring it back for the penalty. And the line out does not go to plan, but it's going to come back on a Hawick side. They've got the advantage, and Welsh trucks it up and tries to steady the ship. His brother now digging about. And the referee is going to bring this back again.
Kelso had a chance for a turnover there, but whoever was at the tail of the line out was taken by surprise and wasn't able to grab it. Bruce McNeill's just having a wee chirp to Dave Chang-Ling just to say he thought it was a squint throw, but decision's already been made by Mikey Todd, and it's going to be a Hawick scrum 5 metres out.
Again, another great attacking platform for Hawick to try and pounce from. And Bruce McNeill having a little conversation with David Chang-Ling, one of the most experienced referees in Scottish rugby.
Yeah, I'd be quite intrigued as to what that conversation was, actually, but I mean, you've got David Chang Leng as an AR there, and as you said, he's one of the most experienced referees and assistant referees in Scotland. You've got Michael Todd in the middle, who's a very well experienced referee. He's been doing a lot of Premiership, Super 6. He's been abroad as well. I'm sure he's just back from an abroad trip. I think this might be his first Border League final.
Yeah, it is, yep.
He's done quite a few as an assistant referee, but as a first Border League final, and you've got a game like this, and he's controlling it very, very well. He's not letting either of the teams kind of nip him in the ear or anything like that. So very impressed for his first one, certainly. And then obviously another assistant referees, Gordon Gallishan, at the other side there.
Yeah, Michael Todd is letting things flow to an extent, but it has been error strewn as Hawick looked to try and get the nudge on up front. It is popped up there, so it's going to be a reset, and I think Hawick perhaps are looking to try and win the arm wrestle up front. The front row of Frame, Knox and Colin Arthur against Muir, Carrier and McLeod, and again the nudge comes on from Hawick. They look to try and turn the screw up front. Welsh just adding a little bit of a nudge there, but it's been picked up at the back by Graham. And Stuart Graham's got a little bit of help there if he can get the ball back on Hawick's side. And they look to try and go direct. Andy Tate doing well to try and make a nuisance of himself. And now
Neil was claiming for that.
Now it's Hawick's turn to be more pragmatic and patient. 5 metres from the line. Can they show their Premiership experience in this Border League final? McLeod looking to bounce out a little bit further. Try and take the ball outside the first defender. Michael Todd did aim to blow the whistle. It's now found Graham, Ross Graham this time, as Welsh spills the ball. Now it's a chance for the backs. Morgan Tate goes back inside. It did open up for Ford, but it was there to play. And now Welsh has got Mitchell. Mitchell dances back in field. He's got a lot of Kelso bodies there just swarming round him to stop him going over that whitewash. And it slows down again. Matty Carrier was there, and over the line the slap on the back from the captain. On initial inspection, I think it's perhaps Sean Muir who's got the dot there. He certainly knows how to lead his charges, but Hawick just showing a little bit more patience there.
Yeah, I'm surprised it took them so long. There was opportunities for them to go wider. They brought it back inside to Morgan Tate, who's not the biggest lump to carry in heavy traffic, and Kelso took care of him, but they just couldn't win the fold round the corner, and Hawick were able just to power, and you got somebody like Sean Muir picking and going from a yard, and although in the bar after it'll probably be a good 15 or 20 metres further out, and then by tomorrow morning it'll be even further again, but he's put in a fair old shift, has Sean.
Donaldson waiting there, spills it back in field to Ford on the 10 metre line. He's found a little bit of space as Bruce McNeil is back there having to try and marshal this, but could it end up in Morgan Tate? His clutches almost there, and it's now Cammy Thompson, and he's just torpedoed around the waist from Stuart Graham. And Kelso manage to clean up that loose bouncing ball. It is Andy Tate just loitering at the back of that ruck yet again, getting boot to ball, looking to kick it out and try and settle the game slightly. Robson off the base and he passes out the back, and now Kelso looking to try and attack from deep. It's Wilson who's pinned the lugs back, and he's made some good yards, and he's fed Ross Coombe over on that far side, over the halfway line now. And Kelso have released the shackles, and now Bruce McNeil looks to try and breach his way through that Hawick defence, a defence which he was a solid part of for many a year here at Mansfield Park. And now Tate looks to dummy and go. It's just opened up slightly for him, and he's able to steal a couple of yards. And Kelso going to have to work hard to protect this ball as Hasty gets the ball across to Common. Big Angus Common starting in the second row. And now Dryden is coming round the short side there. Robson looking to just go direct as well. Bundles over the first attack, the first defensive effort from Hawick, but eventually is brought to ground, and Michael Todd signals the penalty.
The best bit of shape in the whole game from a back line. Great bit of work in behind. We get it to the width. Coombe keeps hold of it, breaks the first tackle, gets them go forward. They're able to bring it back. So they've gone width to width, and now Hawick are under pressure, concede a penalty, and Kelso get a bit of field position.
You feel this game needs a Kelso try to give us the grandstand finish. Dryden at the shortened line out. He hits Melbourne. A very good line out, and it's McNeil there as ever. Gets round the outside of Ross Graham and makes some really good yards until he's ushered back. And Tate is there. It's a scrappy pass. You could just see when he was sizing up to pass that away from the base that he never got himself positioned right, but again framed. If there's a nomination for player of the match, he's certainly going to be up there.
Oh, he's tidied up a hell of a lot of loose ball today. He's done really, really well.
Melbourne plucks and tries to go and barge his way over this Hawick line. Tate finds Common. Common's got some support there as the two Hawick players collide in together to try and stop the attacking effort from Kelso. Now into the hands of Cammy Thompson. He's not made much in the way of yards, but at least he's bought Kelso a little bit of time to readjust and realign themselves deep inside the Hawick 22. Now to the left, working more towards the stand side to try and open this field up, and now Colin Arthur carries the ball forward. The penalty is going to come, and Todd just signalling that Hawick weren't rolling away there.
Kelso really got their dander up there, played to great shape, got the right people in the right positions to make some inroads, and I actually thought they might have tapped and have a crack at this.
They have tapped. It's now Patterson. Patterson's found McNeil. McNeil's now got Robson. Robson just tries to sneak through the gap that was almost there in the dog leg Hawick defence, but it closes pretty quickly. And now Tate just sizing up his options. Coming out the back to Patterson. The gap has opened up there. He gets the offload into Arthur. Can Arthur get over the line? He can, and he squeezes over for that try that we were so craving here in the stands here at Mansfield Park. Patterson wasting no time. He's going to go quickly for this conversion attempt. Hawick 18, Kelso 14, and we've got a few minutes left in this Border League final.
That was a hell of a try and well played to Kelso, being rewarded for the guts to have a crack there.
It's now up to Patterson to try and make it a 2-point game and give us a roaring finish here at Mansfield as the Hawick players get off the line. And Patterson turns away quickly. He doesn't like the look of that, so it's going to have to be a Kelso try to win this Border League final.
Kelso have got to claim this kick-off. There can be no indecision here now. There's absolutely zero margin for error.
It's 78 minutes for this game to burst into a mouth-watering clash, but it's been worth the wait. And Kelso, to the experience of Bruce McNeil, he is the first man to put his hand up to try and lead this Poynter Park outfit forward, as Andy Tate finds Dryden, who was accurate with his line out in the build up to the try. Now Hasty and Robson, who's in the last 5 minutes or so has certainly burst into life. He wrestles hard on the floor to get that ball back, and Tate finds frame. There's a bit of a Duracell bunny. He's just went all evening here, and Hasty just fishing that ball over at the far side. And now Kelso starting to release the shackles and throw the ball about at will. McNeil just tries to ghost towards the right hand side and just opts to go direct. He's been wrapped up by Mitchell there. Michael Todd's got a good look at that, and it is going to be a penalty to Kelso. Remember, we have a 4-point margin between these two teams.
Yeah, Hawick have to be white and white now, and there they just gave Michael a chance to blow his whistle. Murray gets a chance to stick it down. He's not gone too big, because any error there, he's just going to hand it back to Hawick. But there's a chance now for Kelso to build some momentum, and this is now a chance for somebody to make themselves a hero.
Yeah, what a finish we've got here in the Border League. Last time Hawick won the Border League was in 2015, Kelso 1987. Who is going to stake their claim? And it is Kelso who win at the line out, and they trudge this ball forward, and you can hear the crowd starting to get behind both of these outfits as they look to try and seize some glory. It's closer and closer towards that line as the bodies bundle in. Hawick try and dig in. Bruce McNeil with a little pat on the back. Is this written for a Bruce McNeil score at the death to win the Border League for Kelso at Mansfield Park? He goes one way, he tries to offload, and Kelso try and secure that ball back on their side. The referee, Michael Todd, has awarded the penalty to Hawick. That is the final play there. Kirk Ford takes the quick penalty and kicks the ball out of play, so it is Hawick who are crowned the Border League champions of 2022. Kelso's late fight with a try from Colin Arthur was not enough to snatch it away from Hawick, and they win the oldest rugby union league in the world. One of the founders all the way back in 1901 have won their 50th title, and this is a historic moment in Mansfield Park.
Absolutely brilliant to be a part of that. It wasn't the best of games, it wasn't the most exciting. I think Kelso can lay claim to the best bit of rugby, to get from their own 22 over the try line with lots of different players getting their paws on the ball and a prop scoring in the corner, and some great individual bits within that, but otherwise it was a pretty sticky game. Michael Todd had to blow his whistle a lot, but Hawick absolutely deserved to win it. They overpowered. Kelso just didn't have the firepower to go over the line, but they really made it interesting with just a few minutes to go.
Their 50th Border League crown, the most decorated team in Border League history, finally get that 50th title after falling short in 2019 against Melrose, and it is Hawick who win here on Borders Rugby TV in the Border League final. They beat Kelso 18 points to 14.
So Bruce, you've come up agonisingly short in a keenly fought contest against the third best club team in Scotland. Commiserations, but you must be immensely proud of the boys.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we've got here on merit. We've beat a lot of really good teams to get here, so we knew that we deserved to be here, and to be within a few points of one of the best team in amateur rugby. It's a massive plus for us, but obviously bitterly disappointing.
And right in it at 10-6 just after the break, they then intercepted on their own line with you guys in the ascendancy. Did that feel like a bit of a key moment?
There was a few key moments there, to be fair, and in games like this, key moments are obviously massive. I just think they maybe had the luck of the bounce a couple of times and were certainly more clinical. I think they put us under a lot of pressure on the set piece, and it took their toll on us. And listen, they were deserved winners, and it's one of the hardest places to come in Scottish rugby. But our boys can hold their heads up high, and we can take a lot from that. That we can come to places like this and mix it with, as I say, one of the best teams in Scotland rugby.
Ross, congratulations. First Border League for Hawick in 7 years in the half century. When you look at some of the great Hawick teams over the years that have won this tournament, it must be a real honour for you boys to actually bring up the 50.
Oh, it is amazing. I think quite a few boys have been in the runners-up teams in the last sort of few years. I was in that winning side the last time we won, and it seems a long time ago then, but if you were to look back at some of the players that have actually been in those winning teams, it would be some amazing names and some greats that have played for Hawick.
And the first half was a cagey affair. You went into half time at 10-6. Kelso were right in the game. What was the message from Matty and the other coaches in the sheds?
I just kind of needed to sort of walk round that corner a bit faster and play more in your structure. We weren't quite getting round that corner. Third
in the Premiership this season, the Border League's in the bag. Where do you set the bar for next season?
So we set goals just halfway through that season, and one of them was to win the Border League and also to get into those playoffs. I think winning the silverware now just puts us in the right direction, and I think next year we need to kick on and actually push that one further and get to that final and look at winning that league.
What a great advert for Borders Rugby, with two very competitive teams going hammer and tongue tonight, but it is Hawick who take the victory and win their 50th Border League title. So from Mansfield Park, very good night.